All right. Hello, guys. It is that time once again. It is Saturday, February 3rd. Got to think about that one. 1 p.m. Eastern time, which means it's time for me to go live with you guys. And of course, there's something that I didn't set up, so I had some feedback there. Sorry about that, guys. But we are here live, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my home office slash studio here. And I'm going to show you how to maximize a small space because when I show you guys the room that I'm actually working in, that I run my business out of, that I shoot my YouTube videos in, and that I use to store all of my equipment, is this one little room that I'm in right now. And I'm going to give you guys a tour today and show you how I maximize the space. Now, full disclaimer on this show, guys, I'm trying a bunch of stuff new today to give you this tour. Some of it has been working, some of it hasn't been working, so hopefully we don't run into any technical difficulties today. I think I got everything going. So the beauty of today's show is that it is live, so feel free to join in the live chat. I have it pulled up here. I can see Mr. Sean Mark Nipper is already here. Good to see you. So please feel free to comment live and chat as we go along, and I'll give you guys a tour of my teeny tiny studio space here. So I'm gonna get, this is one of the things that I was talking about that was working and then decided not to work. I have a secondary camera that I'm going to connect right now, and hopefully it will actually come up because it was freezing on me, but we will get that going here in just a second. So hopefully this is up. Let's see what we got. It is. So here you go, guys. I will shut the door real quick so that none of my animals come in. We have 2 Siberian Huskies and 2 cats, but this is it. This is the whole space. I'm in this teeny tiny room. I have my edit space over here. You can see I have some lighting set up, and then over here is all of my equipment storage. And right now I have a GoPro mounted up here in the corner. I'm very glad it's working right now. It seems to be working for just a few minutes and then freezing. So we probably won't have this angle for the rest of the show, but I at least wanted to give you guys an idea of the space that I'm working in here. So as you can see, it is a tiny space. It is just a room in our townhouse. So let me go ahead and sit back down before that GoPro freezes on me. But it's just a small room in our townhouse. And it's just what we've got to work with. So I run my own business, so I have a lot of equipment in here, and obviously I do the YouTube channel as well. So I've got a ton of stuff all set up, and I'll show you guys how I have that set up. So I see Sean says, get a heater in there. Actually, heat is not the problem in here. It's getting heat out. And I'll show you my solution for that, because all of this equipment generates quite a bit of heat when I'm working in this room with the door closed, and especially during the winter when we have the heat running for the rest of the house. I got to get the heat out of this room, but I'll show you guys that in a little bit. So like I said, I'm going to give you guys a tour today. So another new thing that we're trying is I actually have my GH5 set up to go wireless today, so that I can take you on a tour walking around this teeny tiny space. So let me get that camera picked up and we will get on with the tour. And of course, guys, if you have any comments along the way, I have my iPad here and I'll keep checking in periodically, but I'm going to show you guys around my space. So let me get this camera up and see if we can do this. All right. So here we go, guys. Completely wireless today on the GH5. Let's see, is camera B still working? Nope, it froze up. There we go. I was going to show you guys the rig. But so here we go. I'll get into the corner and give you guys a look at the whole space here. Sorry, I hope nobody has like motion sickness or anything. But here we are, guys. And let me open up a bit so that we can get some proper exposure. But like I said, this is the room and the space that I am working in. And so everything is crammed into one little room here. So I've definitely maximized my usage of space. And I guess we'll start actually over here at the computer and show you guys what I have going on. So let me get my chair out of the way here. And Okay guys, so here is my desk, and you can see we've got OBS running on there for the live stream. I use OBS because it's free, and it's actually pretty powerful for being free. So I have a 27-inch iMac on here that I use, and then I have a Dell 4K monitor that I use as my secondary monitor for video editing and so forth. So I have a lot of things connected into here to run it, and we'll go through all of that. So as you can see guys, I have my iPad over here where I monitor the comments a lot of time during the live show. I see we have another one in here. Who do we got? Zontiak, hey, you kept your word and came by to see the live show. I really appreciate it. But yeah, so this is my desk here. Regular Apple peripherals. And of course, if you've been on my live show, you've seen my giant collection of pop figures. I have pretty much the entire cast of the new Infinity War movie coming up here, and including the Guardians of the Galaxy hiding over here. I have this awesome LaMetric time clock that gives me my live YouTube count. Keeps me motivated to keep the channel growing. And then here we have my iPhone on a wireless charging pad. I really, really love that Apple now has wireless charging. It's fantastic. So that's my desk setup, and to keep everything running smoothly for video editing and whatnot, I've got a few things that I've modified on the desk. So let me grab a seat here in my chair and show you guys what I'm talking about. So here over to the side, we can actually remove this guy. That was that B camera that is no longer deciding to cooperate. Let me get my focus here and make sure we have proper exposure here. So what I've done under the desk here, guys, is I've mounted a few USB hubs. So I have a, what does this say, 7-port USB hub here. So it allows me to quickly plug in all of these external drives. I keep external drives for projects that I'm currently working on and for stuff that I shoot out in the field. So I can bring these drives back and plug them in without having to go behind the computer to try and get to all the ports. So I have my ports available right here. Not sure if you can really see it, but right here is actually a 3-in-1 card reader. So it is CF cards, it is SD cards, it is micro SD cards. So that covers most of my card reader needs right there. Let me get focus again. But then I also have mounted under here a CFast 2.0 card reader because I have an Ursa Mini, and so I do have those CFast cards. So I have everything right here, easily accessible, you know, arm's reach right next to the desk there. Everything is cable managed pretty well. This one cable that you see right here is actually not usually here. That was just for the GoPro camera that's not cooperating today. But then under here I have my my filing cabinet. Big fan of stickers that you get from all the manufacturers and different stuff whenever you get equipment. So I've got a huge sticker collection on it. Filing cabinet just has all my paperwork for my company and stuff like that. And then down here I have an APC UPS, uninterruptible power supply. It's a tricky thing to say, that I've got most of my important stuff plugged into so that if our power goes out, my main system stays up for about 30 minutes and I can continue working and get done what I need to get done. So I've got, you know, my studio monitor speakers, I've got some vintage cameras, need some more space on this desk, obviously, cameras hiding all over the place. I have my color calibration, and this guy right here is the Elgato StreamDeck. So this is what I use to actually switch between all the different things that are happening in my live show. So I have programmed all of them to do various different things, like show my computer screen, pull up the chat, and all sorts of stuff. So let's see here. If I go, I guess I can hit the lower thirds one. And yeah, see, it brings my lower third up on screen. So kind of cool. This thing has made it incredibly easy to switch the live show in particular. But the nice thing is that it can do all sorts of other things too. So I have commands for Premiere in there. I have shortcuts to pull up some of my most common websites and programs. I have a folder for all my social media accounts and stuff like that, so I can go in. So this thing's really, really cool. It's been awesome. Yeah, I really, really like it. So we've got a few comments coming in the chat here. So let's see here. Drew Hester. So when will you be away from the house? For how long? And where's the spare key? It's for a science project. Yeah, sure. Yeah, trying to come in and steal all my stuff, I see. Thanks, Drew. And Jay says, nice stickers. Yeah, man. I have this huge collection on this filing cabinet of stickers. And I actually have within the filing cabinet an entire folder full of more stickers that I gotta put on something. So I'm pretty stickered out right now. But let's see here. What else can I say about the desk? Obviously, this is where I spend most of my time, you know, staring at these screens here, doing my video editing and whatnot. I'm not a big headphones guy, so I use these M Audio studio monitor speakers here. And yeah, they're not the greatest, but they've served me pretty well. So yeah, I've shown you guys that there. Now this right here is kind of an interesting setup, something wonky's going on with it. But this is my, my Atomos Shogun. So I drilled in a little monitor mount onto the side here where I can mount monitors to view myself when I'm shooting videos. And today I was using it for that GoPro feed. So it was coming into here and then going out and going to the computer. But something has gone wrong with the input into the computer, so we don't have a GoPro angle, so this is kind of superfluous for today's purposes. But usually I do have a monitor there, either the Shogun or the VS5. Now I know you guys can see the remote here. It may look familiar to some of you, being from Aputure. And I usually stick it actually right here on the side, just like that, to store my remotes. So I have my Aputure remote, and I also have a remote for the RGB lights that I have around the desk. You guys have probably seen those. Everything's changing colors and whatnot, but we won't get ahead of ourselves. But I do use Aputure lights, and let me actually go ahead and show you guys my lighting setup for my live stream. So as you guys know, I'm usually sitting right here in this chair, doing my live stream, hanging out, talking with you guys. And so I have actually 4 lights that I use for my setup. So let me show you my key light, if you will. Well, first I got this window, we'll deal with that. My key light is over here. It's an Aputure LS1C panel, and that is my key light. It has a little iLED softbox on it. It is plugged into power, running down the back, organized as best I could, but I can remotely control this light. So if I grab the remote, I believe this is light D, maybe not. Nothing wants to work on the show. Come on, buddy. All right, well, it doesn't feel like cooperating. I don't know why it's been acting out, but this one back here has been cooperating. That one turns on and off. Not sure why this guy isn't. There it goes. Maybe my remote battery is getting a little low. But as you can see, I can turn on and off and change the color temperature and everything of my light. So this is my key light that comes in while I'm sitting here, in addition to all of this pain in the butt window light. And so that illuminates that side of my face. But then to make sure that there's enough light in the background, I've also set something up. So let me give you guys a little wide here. So up above me, I have more Aputure lights up on a C-stand. So I have a C-stand set up. It is sandbagged at the bottom to be safe. And up on this, I've got 3 lights. So I have this guy right here, which is one of the Aputure Mini20Ds. And when this guy is on, it is a hard source light, and it comes down and acts as my hair light. It sort of gives me a little background and shoulder light here. And so then if we move along a little bit, I have another LS1, or not LS1, I'm sorry, an LS Mini20D, another one, same as that. And that is blasting light down here onto these figures on the desk to give a little bit more illumination to the desk, so it's not quite so dark in the background. And then on the end here, I have another Aputure panel. I have another LS1C bicolor panel, which is throwing light down here onto the rest of my nerdy pop figure collection hanging out here on the wall. I know you guys, if you watched the live show, you're familiar with a lot of these. But that, guys, is my lighting setup for the live show. So I have 1, 2, 3 lights there, and then I have a 4th right here. And as you can see, all of these are actually running to one control box and are all plugged into one V-mount battery. So this V-mount battery right here is on the control box for the panel. So it's powering that, but I'm also using the 2 available DTAP ports to run DTAP power to the Mini-20s. So it's nice. And as you can see on here, it'll run at the current power of each of the lights. It'll run for 5 hours, so I am in no danger of them dying during my usual 1-hour live streams. So moving along, actually let's take a quick peek at our chat here. So Zoniac is asking, what are the specifications of your PC? People are saying they're coming over. Let's see here. Nice looking space. Yeah, I've done my best with it, Trevor. I appreciate that. So just real quick, it is a late 2013 27-inch iMac. It's the 3.5 gigahertz i7 and 32 gigs of RAM. So it is a little bit old, it's a little bit long in the tooth, but I find that it does perform pretty well. I have been able to work around Apple's anti-NVIDIA garbage that they've been doing lately, and install drivers that bypass Apple's graphics handling, and so I can actually utilize the 780M NVIDIA card that's in there, and so I'm able to do pretty well. I can edit 4K video on this and all that, pretty much no problem. Not as fast as newer machines, obviously, but I'm not having anything that's stopping me from getting work done, which is good. So before we get into some more computer stuff, this is my, some more of my nerd wall that I know you guys have seen glimpses of from my live shows. My wife got me this one year for my birthday or Christmas, I forget which one, but it's a Banksy of Stormtroopers at the Oscars. She also got me this. We got a little glare on it, but it's basically schematics of the Millennium Falcon. And then the rest of these are movie posters from movies that I went to opening night. Top Gun re-released in IMAX a few years ago. We went and saw that. I've got Hateful Eight up here. Their roadshow engagement viewing of it in 70mm. That was awesome. And then my calendar where I keep track of how insanely busy I am. Yeah, so there's that out. And of course, Mr. Drew Hester will be familiar with this, but Prisoners of War was the film that I made. It was my senior thesis film in college. That's actually Drew right there on the poster. And I actually still have the filmmaker badges from when I went to the film festival in St. Petersburg, Florida. I think it was back in like 2008 or something like that, or maybe 2010. But yeah, so I like to keep stuff that I like around me, and keep my space kind of fun. So let's take a quick look at our chat here. I know this will be like Inception for you guys. Let's see here. Asking about if Jay's a cinematographer, stuff like that. Okay, cool. So not too many comments right now about all of this. That's fine. I will continue our tour. So obviously the computer is only half of the equation when you're doing video editing. You also have to have storage. And so I'm sure you guys have probably seen some videos that I have on my channel about this already and how I handle storage, but let me show you guys what we've got going on there. So down here, let me open up our Aputure a little bit. So down here is all of my hard drives and storage. So what I have is I have 2 Drobos that are 5 bays. I've been filling them up slowly. They were 4 terabytes, but I've started filling them up with 10 terabyte drives. So I've got a ton of data capacity. And then here I have all my other drives, Time Machine, which backs up the system there, my iTunes library, a backup of my iTunes library, and a photography drive that I actually don't really use that much because I never got as into photography as I thought I was going to, but it's there. And so all of those are running through the back. And then I actually have a network of hubs in the back there that are actually running everything into the computer. So it is pretty heavily loaded. And so one note, guys, when I usually do my live streams, the camera actually sits right here. So I just set it right there and aim it at myself because there really aren't that many other places that I can do it. So let's see here. I do want to address these crazy strips of tape on the blinds, and some of you may know where I'm going with this and why I did this. My live shows being at 1 o'clock in the afternoon usually, what I found was that the sun was coming directly through and making a whole bunch of just little dots that would move like across my face. And it really was annoying me, so I got some gaff tape and I ran some strips down to fix it. It's the simple fix. It looks ridiculous, but it absolutely works. Let's see here. What else do we got? Moving along to the top of this platform over here. Down here I have some extra cases. Oops, going the wrong way in my exposure there. I have my printer, I have my label maker, and I have a bunch of spare cases and stuff down here for when I travel with electronics. As you can see, there's a mess of cables right now with the Shogun here, but usually this is not all messy like this. Usually this is controlled and cabled down, and I usually don't have this here. This is a battery that is powering actually my Shogun right now, and is also running our wireless transmitter right here for the HDMI from my camera. So actually, we can go ahead and power down our Shogun. We don't need to be pulling battery life. There we go. Okay. So on the top here, guys, I have a few things, you know, just some pens and pencils, highlighters, whatnot. This is a USB microphone that I used to use for voiceovers, but I really haven't used in a long, long time. It's not the greatest. It was super cheap. I got it a long time ago. I don't use it that often. It just kind of sits there taking up desk space. Over here I have, these are actually, I'm sure you've seen these before, these are mugs that look like lenses, so I just have those on here. Nice Canon water bottle that I got at NAB one year. And then this right here, this is my rig for when I live stream from my phone. So I have a Rode Video Mic Pro up on top and a little phone clamp all attached to a Joby GorillaPod. And I have all the cables and adapters to run the mic into my phone. And so when I stream from my phone, guys, that is how I do it, is with that setup right there. All right, have I covered just about everything here? Let's see. So I've got some cleaning supply stuff there, you know, air duster, the usual stuff you need for computers, a few filmmaking books from my college days. And then over here at the end, I have a little storage cabinet that I have had for Lord knows how long. But this just holds various cables, odds and ends, hard drives, and other electronics and stuff. And so all that stuff is organized in there. And I actually organize everything into plastic baggies. So this is like label maker stuff and printer stuff, and all sorts of fun stuff that all gets put in there. As you can see, guys, the way that I have this light panel actually situated here is not permanent. It is on a little Matthew stand and just kind of balancing there. So I do have another stand sitting on it just to try and hold it in place. But yeah, it could be better. I meant to drill it into a plank of wood and put it on there. That's why the screws are there. But yeah, it never happened. And this is an old MacBook Pro laptop. Probably gonna have to retire it. I think its battery's going dead, but this is what I used to take out in the field to at least dump footage and get edits started. So I think we have covered everything on this side of the room in terms of the edit suite, all the storage, odds and ends and stuff like that, and all of the lighting for my live show. So let's take a peek at our comments here, guys. Let's see what we got. Sorry. Okay, you guys are basically talking back and forth amongst yourselves. That's awesome. Fantastic. So I'll just keep on plugging through, guys, and if you do have any questions, I'm periodically checking and seeing what we got there. But next, what we're going to do is we're going to move along this wall, and we're going to move over to my charging station. So this thing is basically where I charge all of my batteries. You can see up top I have a dual V-mount charger. Over here I have a rechargeable triple and AA battery charger. I have not purchased double or AAA batteries in years, and that's because I switched to all rechargeable, and it's fantastic. Then of course I got some walkie-talkies. Every boy's dream, no matter how old you are. Yeah, gotta have walkie-talkies. Coming down, we've got, this is actually where I store media cards in these teeny tiny little cases, and this entire box here, guys, is really heavy. But let me show you guys what we got in here. We have got batteries. So this is batteries for all the various cameras that I have. You know, I've got GH5 batteries, I've got Canon batteries. These are big camcorder batteries for Canon, Sony's, tons of Sonys of all different sizes, GoPro 4, GoPro 5 and 6, GoPro 3 and 3 Plus. So yeah, all sorts of batteries and stuff. I keep them all organized in there. And that's part of the key about working in a small space, is really trying to stay organized. Because if I had stuff all over this room, I would not be able to work. Like, I need to know where everything is and keep everything organized. So yeah, there we go. I'm gonna take a peek at the comments before we move down to the next shelf. Still talking amongst yourselves. That's awesome. All right. So as we move down here, guys, to the next shelf, here are some of my chargers. Let's see if I can open up a little bit. So I have LP6 chargers, Sony, GH5, and then I have spare V-mount batteries down here and some USB battery packs that I absolutely love. And don't want to miss up here, I have a USB charger with a bunch of cables coming out of it, ready to plug anything into and charge them up. As we move down the shelf, I have various little kits. Holy cow, dusty kits. This has ball heads and stuff like that in there. This has nuts and bolts and washers and other odds and ends. And this one right here holds tripod adapters, tripod plates, Allen keys, all sorts of stuff like that. So I have all that right there. If we move down yet another shelf, we've got more. I have my actually drill charger. So this isn't technically filmmaking stuff, but I charge my drill batteries here. I have more battery packs. This is a travel pack with all of my Apple accessories that I need when I travel to charge my phone and all that. Some more battery banks. This is full of just chargers for absolutely everything. We've got some GoPro in there, lots of Apple and all that stuff. Then down on the bottom shelf, these are basically just miscellaneous junk cables. And right here is a box full of electrical connectors, like barrel plug adapters and connectors and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, I try and keep everything as organized as possible, but that is my electrical and charging cart right there. All right, let's see if any comments have come in. All right, people having good conversations in there. I like it. Okay, so even in just this tiny room, we have now covered basically 2 walls. So we will keep moving right along, guys. And we're gonna start getting into equipment storage. So you've seen basically how I work, and all the computer stuff and all the battery charging. Now we're gonna get into some of my equipment storage. So obviously we have that C-stand there. But here we go, maximizing as much space as possible, guys. I have all these pop-up reflectors and green screens and backdrops mounted behind my door. And I use actually these double J hooks that I found, I believe at just Home Depot. They're super strong and they're fantastic for just hanging these things out of the way. You know, I've got some really big ones, but these things handled the weight just fine. So yeah, so that's some storage back there. Now here on this wall, guys, is another LS1 panel. And right now I have it just blasting into the ceiling so that we can get some light here. But what I usually do is I usually actually have it pointed at myself when I'm sitting here, because I record my regular YouTube videos facing this way. So I'm facing this way and that becomes my background, as opposed to my live show when I'm shooting this way. So this light comes down and faces and becomes my key light. Now, I used to have this on a light stand, but I got really tired of not having floor space in this teeny tiny room. So what I've done is actually wall mounted it. So let's see, get some focus here. So this is from Impact, I believe, but these are some amazing wall plates that if you loosen this knuckle up, you can swivel this around and position the light however you want. And now I don't need a light stand to run this light, and I have tons of floor space free. So you can see it's running down there. This is just a watt meter that I use to measure when I'm testing lights. It tells me exactly how much power they're drawing. I just leave it plugged in there just for fun. All right, here is a closet. This actually has even more gear and my clothes in it, but we won't go into that. But we will talk about this guy right here. So like I said, guys, let's go to my reverse angle here. So this is usually my view when I'm shooting my regular pre-recorded videos. And so as you can see, I'm shooting this direction. Everything behind me is my background. That would be my key light. This becomes my fill light. And so I usually have the camera on this tripod on the other side of the room, just like I have it right now. And what I've been experimenting with recently is this teleprompter. It's from a company called Glide Gear. It was pretty affordable. But yeah, usually I'll pop the GH5 on here and shoot towards myself over that way. And that's how I shoot those videos. So I leave this guy set up. Before we get into this amazing wall, here's the GoPro that was hopefully going to be working today, but is not. But it is connected via an HDMI cable. So down here on the ground, I have an HDMI cable, and you can see down there I also have an SDI cable, and those actually route all the way along, come through here, and come up and plug into my monitor here. So that's how I can monitor myself when I'm sitting in the chair and shooting my videos. So yeah, there's that. I'm just gonna take a seat, take a quick drink of water, and we're gonna dive right in here. Taking a look at the chat real quick, guys. Sorry, I know this video is out of whack and really disorienting and all that. I couldn't think of a better way to do this setup here. So Rajesh says, nice setup, Bart. Thank you very much. I've put a lot of time and effort into getting everything all set up and organized off the floor as best as possible, because otherwise it's just too much stuff for such a small space. And Zontiak asks, so what cameras do you use personally and for work? Actually, we're going to get into that next, because we're going to start looking at this wall of gear. So let's see. I'm going to get up now, and we're going to get as far back as we can so that you guys can see the scope of my insanity here. So there it is. Floor to ceiling, pretty much. That is my wall of equipment. Now, like I said, guys, I do run my own production company, so having this much equipment makes sense. This is not all just YouTube equipment. So I take this out, I travel a lot with it, so that's why everything is in kits and cases, and we'll get into that. So what I've got down here, this is basically grip and electrical. It's clamps and extension cords and so forth right there. I have some flex dolly track here. I have a case, I believe that's my remote follow focus from Red Rock Micro. And I also have a cable. This is actually a really cool hack that I want to show you guys. I found this bag on Amazon. And one thing for me has always been trying to organize and keep track of cables, HDMI cables, and all sorts of stuff like that. And so this is a bag intended for jumper cables for cars, but I just loaded it up with all my SDI cables and coiled up HDMI cables and adapters and all sorts of stuff. So this makes organizing my cables so much easier. I know where they all are. So let me toss that back in there. As we move up the shelves, guys, this is the first of my cameras. This kit is my 5D Mark III kit right in there. So I have the 5D and all the accessories that I use for it. This is my lens kit, so all of my lenses that I use. And in this kit right here is my DJI Phantom 4. So there we go. Up here is the, let me get this tripod out of our way. Up here is the first camera that I started my company with. It is the Canon XF300. It's an ENG style camera, kind of a camcorder. But as many times I've tried to get rid of it, this sucker sticks around and always has a place. Over here, two more camera kits. This is my Ursa Mini kit. So the Ursa Mini and everything that goes with it is in here. This is my GH5 box, the smallest of all the camera kits. So the GH5, when it's traveling, goes in there. And over here, I have a microphone, a shotgun mic from Aputure, the Deity microphone that I'd like to start actually using. And this is my audio kit, so all my other audio stuff, including the wireless lavs that I'm using right now. And down here's my GoPro kit. So I have every GoPro from the 3 all the way to the 6. And so I keep all the accessories and everything in there. Let's see what we got here. Let's see here. Zontiac's asking, what's my company called? Easy, Bart Johnson Productions. I was really creative when I named it, wasn't I? So yeah. Moving up to this next shelf. This box right here is just basically rig parts and accessories. So I've got some rail rigs here that I've never used really, and all the rigs that I've ever taken apart, all the bits and pieces are in here so that I can build whatever I need to if I need something custom built. Here is my Atomos Shogun case. Came with the Shogun when I bought it. This right here is actually my wireless HDMI setup, so I'm using it right now, but usually it's attached to a director's monitor, and so all of that is in there. Over here I have gimbals, so I've got actually quite a few gimbals. I used to have more, but this is the Zhiyun Crane version 2. This is an, what is it, AIBird Uoplay for the iPhone. I have a LanParte gimbal there for GoPros. I have handlebars here for the Zhiyun Crane that I like to use with it. I have some mounts for GoPro, suction mounts. Here's a Aputure VS5 monitor, and these are some other monitors that I don't use as often in there as well. And some color calibration and focus target stuff right there. Up on top, all of this is actually empty bags and cases because I've since transferred everything that came in them out. So those are empty cases, except for this one. This is my original DJI Phantom version 1 is in this case here. So that sucker's historic. So it sits up there. All right, let's see what we got here. So moving right along. How are we doing on time? Oh, not too bad. We're making good time here. So we'll work on top down on this shelf here, guys. So up here, I have various long items. So I have a few sliders up here. This is one from Immortan. I think there's a portable jib up there too. This is a small tripod. So I keep all those up there. This is also a tripod shelf. So I usually have more tripods on here. I actually have a few of them that are out for rental right now. So another way that I make money is by renting my gear out because obviously I have a ton of stuff and don't need to use it all the time. So tripods go up here. This right here is one of my favorite things. I'm sure you saw my GoPro is actually on one right now, but these are Dinkum system clamps. So you can mount lightweight lights and all sorts of stuff using those and clamp them to all sorts of things. So I usually just clamp them there. Now this shelf, we're getting into some lighting. So let's go ahead and open up a little bit here. So starting here, these are actually Aputure M9s, the little credit card size lights in their pouches, and they're just clipped to it. So they're teeny tiny lights. I got 2 of those guys. I love them. And these are 2 LED 1x1 cases. So when I travel, I take all 3 of my panels with me. 1, 2, 3. And they pack into these 2 bags along with all their control boxes and cables and everything that they need. And yeah, I'm able to travel with them that way. Over here, I have some more lights that just came in. These are Luxli Viola LED lights. They're actually RGB, so they can create any color ever. So they're pretty cool. I'm looking to do a review of them soon, and lots of accessories and stuff. I need to get an actual case for those guys so that they can travel safely. Moving down here, this one's pretty self-explanatory. I have my Kessler KC8 crane. Doesn't get as much use as it used to, but it's here. And this is actually down here a Chinese knockoff light kit that I bought years and years ago, and now kind of just sits there collecting dust, because this new case is replacing it, and this houses all of my other lights that I use. So it holds the Aputure Mini20s. I have the 300D in there. I have a 120D in there, and here I can actually show you guys that. So I have this guy jam-packed full. It's got all the accessories, all the lighting modifiers, everything you could ever need when traveling with these lights. So this is my travel kit for my Aputure lights right there. So I will close that guy up. And coming to an end over here in the corner. Right here, guys. This is, for my work, we go and we shoot videos at conferences. And so I have kept and collected every lanyard and badge that I have received over the past 4 years. So I have a giant collection there of all these lanyards and badges. So that's pretty cool. Don't know what I'm going to do with them someday, but it'd be cool to make something out of all of them. And then here, tucked away in the poor corner, relics of my past. This is stuff from film school. So in those canisters are actual negatives of my film, my senior thesis film. I have some unopened Kodak film. I've got some old DVC Pro tapes, and I got my first hat when I started my company is up there with my logo on it. Hidden back here, tucked in the corner, there's my college diploma and my cap and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's about it. Oh, one last thing. We missed it before, and I know you mentioned it. So I have this fan, which is pretty dirty right now. It's kind of embarrassing. But this fan is necessary. It's always on exhaust, so it's pushing air out. Because this room is so small, and because there's so much equipment in here that's constantly running and generating heat, that fan sucks the heat out and just pushes it out. Otherwise, this room would be like over 100 degrees, even in the winter, just because all of this stuff running. So that's why I have a sort of, you know, janky fan in the window, even though we have central air conditioning. So there we go, guys. I think we did it. I'm gonna go ahead and sit back down and get us set in our regular position here. Alright, so this framing should start looking a bit more familiar to you guys. Oh, let's drop our exposure down. And how's our focus? Not too bad. Alright guys, so that was the complete tour of everything that I have been able to fit into this teeny tiny space. I haven't actually measured this room, but my guess is that it's about 15 by 15. And I'm able to fit all of my equipment, all of my editing stuff, and also basically make it double as a studio. And not only a studio, but basically a studio with 2 angles. So, you know, I have this angle right here with the lighting setup that I do for the live shows, and then I have the other angle when I'm facing over that way for my pre-recorded videos. So it has taken me a very long time to put this together, but now you guys know that when I'm doing these shows and shooting my videos that, you know, I could probably reach my arm out and touch something because there's so much stuff in here, which is just absolutely crazy, but I've been able to make the space work for me. So let's go ahead. I know you guys were having some great conversations on your own here in the live chat. I do appreciate that. Let me see if there's anything that came through for me. Let's see here. Jay was doing some promotion. That's good. Awesome. Jay is an awesome dude. Definitely check him out, guys. Let's see here. So Zoniac, you did ask what cameras do I personally use and what I use for work. So I showed them there, but just to recap, I started out with the Canon XF300. Which is an ENG style camera, and I still have it to this day. Then I moved to, or rather added on, the Canon 5D Mark III, hopped on that DSLR bandwagon, and that performed pretty well for me. Then I really jumped up just a few years ago, got the Ursa Mini 4.6K, which I absolutely love as a cinema camera. I love shooting with that. And then most recently, I've picked up the Panasonic GH5, which has become my absolute go-to for YouTube. And I've actually been shooting a lot of other projects on it as well, which has been great. At work for my other job, because I do have another job too, we usually shoot with Sonys, like the FS7 and stuff like that. So let's see here. Bart, could you please watch my videos? Actually, you called me Brat, but that's okay. Yeah, I'll go and check it out. So let's see, moving along. How much to insure all this stuff? So insurance is important. I have production insurance for my company, and it's through TCP Insurance is the name of it, but you can get different quotes based on your situation and all the equipment that you have. I won't go into specific numbers, but it's usually relatively affordable in comparison to the cost of the equipment. At least with that company, that's what I found. Let's see here. Anthony says, sick, I got those same shelves. Yeah, those equipment shelves are fantastic. They're like 70 bucks at Walmart, believe it or not. I think it's one of the only things I've ever purchased from Walmart, but I love them. And I'd love to get more of them, but I don't have any more space. So there's that. Let's see here. David Jung says, hi Bart, checking in, saying hi, watching your show. Thank you, man, I appreciate it. And then he asked, do you rent your gear through some place like KitSplit? I do. So I rent all of my equipment through a website called KitSplit. It's where independent owners and operators list their equipment, and local people can come and rent them. And like I said, I have a few tripods that are out for rent right now. People rent my cameras and all sorts of stuff like that. So that is a great resource. And if you guys are ever in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and you want to rent some gear, look me up on KitSplit. Not sponsored by KitSplit, but I really do like it. Zoniac says, I really like your setup. I went on your website and the cinematics you make are amazing. I'm glad I checked out your channel. Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate you coming by and checking it out too. And I appreciate you checking out my website. I really do appreciate that. Trevor, I'm just over here testing lenses with my anamorphic adapter during your show. Nice. Anamorphic adapter is something that's on my list, and I see your next question is, have you done an anamorphic show yet? I have not. And the reason that I have not is because anamorphic adapters are expensive, and I don't have any business justification to purchase them. They're kind of just something that I want to get and want to get into. So I haven't thrown my money at them yet. And actually, there's a good reason for that as well, because I have a pretty big announcement, and it'll explain why I don't have money to toss around. So give me just one sec, and I will let you guys know what's happening. So now that I have shown you guys this space that I have built, that I have refined, that I have fine-tuned over the past like 5 years, we are moving. So my wife and I are about to close in about 20 days, actually, yeah, 20 days, on our very first house. And it is something that we have been wanting for a long time. It's something that we have been needing for a long time. I obviously need more space for my YouTube channel. I need more space for my business. We need more space in general. You know, we live in a townhouse. We have 2 Siberian Huskies. We need a yard. We're getting all of these things with this awesome house that we just bought. And we will be moving into at the end of February. So I'm not moving too far, moving about an hour from where I am now. I'm just going to be going to the other side and crossing over into Maryland. So I'll still be in the district area here. But I am really, really excited. As great as this space has been, and as well as I've got it working for me, I'm going to be able to take everything that's in here and separate it into 3 separate spaces. And what I mean by that is, I'm going to have a room dedicated to my edit suite and live streaming. I'm going to have an actual studio space, a large studio space, to shoot my pre-recorded videos, which I have not been able to do many of because of my limitations in this space. So hopefully I'll get a lot more coming out of that. And then I'm going to have an even separate space for all of my equipment, and it's going to be fantastic. So we are moving at the end of February, and as all of that takes shape and moves along, you better believe I'm going to have posts on this channel and live streams showing you guys as, you know, the space develops and how everything grows and how I set it up. Maybe getting some input from you guys as to how I can do things differently, or the, you know, the best way to set up these spaces and grow the channel, and set up my business. So if you guys aren't already, make sure to subscribe, because there's going to be a lot of cool, you know, building the new studio space videos coming really soon. So we're really happy about that, and so this will be my second to last show, I believe, in this room. So that's kind of crazy to think about. So yeah, let's see what we got here. David says, what do you do about equipment coming back with dings and wear and tear, but not something really damaging to your rental equipment? So wear and tear you kind of accept. Anything that I'm really like precious of, like I really don't want anything at all to happen to it, I don't put it up for rent. Most people are very conscientious when they're renting equipment. Kit Split is great because they do provide insurance, or they require the renter to provide insurance, so they take care of all that. So if it is bad enough for you to make a claim, you know that they are covered for it. So you can either get a repair or a replacement or anything like that. But yeah, it can be a little unnerving, because sometimes, you know, you may have this piece of gear that's your baby, and you know, you're handing it over to a stranger to go work with. So, but you know, otherwise the equipment just sits here when I'm not using it and is not making any money. So if it can make money being rented, that's a good thing. So got to balance it. Drew said, we got to work together again, my friend. Yeah, we definitely do, man. I'm actually going to be coming down to Atlanta within the next few months. So I'll hit you up about that. And maybe we can get together. Let's see here. David says, congrats on the house. Thank you very much. And DL, hey buddy, yay for more space and yay for Maryland. Yeah, I know, it's like I'm crossing over to the dark side, that Virginia-Maryland rivalry thing down here. So I'm a Virginia boy, born and raised in Arlington, Virginia. We still live in Virginia now, and I'm going to be crossing over and moving to Maryland. All right. So guys, I really appreciate you coming with me on this tour of my space. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed showing it to you guys, and all the stuff that we've got going on in here. Hopefully it wasn't too disorienting, just, you know, being floating through the space, you know, first person view with the GH5 there. But my wide angle GoPro was giving me some issues and freezing up. So I was hoping to have a wide angle to give you sort of a frame of reference at the same time, but it is what it is. Something that I can get sorted out for the new house space is a decent wide-angle multi-camera thing there. Let's see here. David says, I have some very expensive Zeiss primes. Would you rent those out? Yes, I would actually, because if it's more expensive, it means that you rent them for a higher price, which means that the only people usually who are looking to spend that kind of money are very professional and respect the equipment, and it's usually higher end productions, and so it's sort of inherent that they take care of gear. You know, there's always, that's not a hard, fast rule, you know, there's always exceptions, but that's generally what I find. The higher, you know, the bigger ticket items, it's usually the people who know what they're doing who come and rent that stuff. But let's see here. You are an interesting person. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I try and be interesting. I hope you guys find me interesting. I guess otherwise you wouldn't come and hang out with me for an hour every week on Saturday afternoon. And speaking of that, guys, next Saturday, we are going to be here in my studio for, I believe, the last time in this studio space. Not the last show, don't worry about that, but it's going to be the last show in this studio space with the show looking like this before we move. So next week at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, we are going to be talking about apps for busy filmmakers and YouTubers. So what I want to share with you guys is some of the programs that I use to keep my life and my work and my YouTube stuff all organized without losing my mind. And most importantly, how I keep it all organized and everything accessible when I'm on the road. Because I travel almost a third of the year, and so I can't stop working while I'm on the road and put things on pause. I got to keep everything going. So I have a suite of apps that I use that allow me to basically get my thoughts from here out and organized from wherever I am, and I'm going to go through those with you and how I use them next week. So if you guys ever find yourselves trying to juggle too many things, you don't know how to organize it, might be the show for you, so please come on by and check it out. I think that's about all I've got for today, guys. We're right at about that hour mark, which is fantastic. As always, guys, thank you for joining me live. I see you guys had some great conversations in the chat today. That is amazing. That's why I love live. If you're here for the first time, please make sure to like and subscribe and click that notification bell so that you can join me whenever I have videos going up or whenever I go live. Please feel free to share my channel with other people who might be interested, and we can keep the community growing and all that. And so, guys, I will see you next week, same time, same place, and it'll be the last time in the same place. All right, guys, take care of yourselves, and I will see you next week.